The Snowy Hydro project will be at least 2 years late, with an update on its progress now setting the completion for December 2029. Let's bring in Tony Wood. He's Director of the Energy Program at the Grattan Institute. Tony, what sort of impact will that have on our energy system, given the delay in Snowy Hydro?
Well, Kieran, in the shorter term, that is the next 3 or 4 years, virtually none, because the expectation was that it wasn't going to be delivered in 23, 24. That's pretty clear. And also that the transmission system wouldn't have been connected until 25, 26, thereabouts anyway. So we're pretty confident that that period of time looks okay. What has to happen now as a result of this is a very serious look at the numbers to say, well, as we look beyond that into the time period you're talking about, 28, 29, 30, are we facing issues or not? And then make an assessment on the basis of that. There are a number of things that could be done. But working out what's the best requires a much more hard-headed assessment than we've seen before, because clearly we were working in a world in which we had incredible optimism about the budget and the timeline for this project. Both were wrong. Now we have to deal with the reality.
Yeah, and I wonder, is this the reality 2029? Any estimate from 2023 that says now there's a blowout to 29 makes me think, well, are we into the 2030s before this is up and going?
Okay, the only good news about that, I think, Kieran, is the further you get into this, you start to the obstacles you've got ahead become more clear and less dramatic. I mean, the fact that we lost that a boring machine got stuck in that Kosciuszko effectively is more than unfortunate, but these things happen sometimes. Again, I think before anyone makes any final decisions on what we need to think about over the next 5 years is an understanding, okay, what have we got ahead of us? What are the assumptions on which that 2029 date is predicated, and are they real? Do we need to be taking some precautions just in case they're not, and what would they look like? Those decisions have to be made between the people who have the numbers, and I don't, Snowy Hydro themselves, the Commonwealth Government, the market operator, and, to be fair, the New South Wales State Government as well.
And finally, the potential for what we need to do goes to that question of baseload power, which Snowy Hydro 2.0 will provide eventually.
Yeah, and that's where this transition from that base load being provided by coal-fired power stations to using things like Snowy Hydro is always going to be a challenging transition, and the latest stories here have demonstrated how difficult that challenge will be. It doesn't at all mean that we can't do that and we shouldn't do it. I think there will not surprisingly be people who say, see, we should have kept the coal-fired power stations longer. And there will be some discussions around some of the remaining coal-fired power stations to make sure that as we transition through the next phase of this, we don't have problems with reliability. That's well understood, and the people dealing with those decision-making processes absolutely are committed to maintaining a reliable system as we undertake the rest of this transition.
Head of Energy at the Grattan Institute, Tony Wood. Thanks so much. I really appreciate your insights, as always.
Thanks, Kieran.